Oh God, I will never forget. I still hear the sound of the gunshot that night. It was louder than thunder, sharper than a drum. And after it, the silence was worse than the noise. I was only a boy when the white men came. My village had never seen skin like theirs, so pale it looked like ash. They came from the river, with boats bigger than any canoe, and with eyes that watched us like we were animals. At first, they smiled. They gave us mirrors and salt, things we had never seen. Our elders thought they were friends. Some even welcomed them, saying they had powers from the gods. But their smiles never reached their eyes. They stayed. And when they stayed, the air in the village changed. The first night, they asked for food. Our people gave them yams, palm wine, and goat meat. They laughed and clapped like children. But when my uncle refused to give more the next day, they dragged him to the center of the village. They pointed their long sticks at him, the sticks that spat fire. The shot went through his chest. We all watched him fall. His blood mixed with the red earth. And that was the first time I realized, these men were not visitors. They were conquerors. Soon, more soldiers came. Men in red coats, carrying those fire sticks. They marched in lines, their boots shaking the ground. They shouted in a strange tongue, a language none of us understood. But we understood their weapons. They burned huts. They dragged women away. Children were tied together with ropes around their necks. And the elders, the ones we always looked to for wisdom, they were silenced. Some were beaten, others locked in wooden boxes the white men brought with them. I saw one elder left to rot under the sun, tied to a tree. His cries still echo in my head. We tried to fight back. The young men of the village took spears and cutlasses and rushed at them. But their fire sticks tore through our warriors like they were nothing. I watched my cousin, strong and fearless, fall in the dirt. His eyes were open, but he never moved again. They told us the land was no longer ours. They planted strange flags in the ground, red, white, and blue cloth that waved in the wind like it owned us. They said we were now part of their empire. They did not ask. They declared. But the worst part, the part that still makes me tremble, was not the killings. It was the way they looked at us. Like we were less than human. Like we were shadows. Like we were already dead. Days turned to weeks, and weeks to months. Our markets no longer belonged to us. The white men took our palm oil, our cola, our yams. They forced the men to carry heavy loads for them, day after day. Anyone who refused was whipped until their back split open. Some were taken to the coast. We heard whispers of ships that swallowed people and never returned. My cousin was one of them. One morning, soldiers stormed our village. They grabbed him, tied his hands, and pushed him away with others. He looked back at me only once, his face pale with fear. That was the last time I saw him. We never found his body. The land itself seemed cursed after they came. Forests were cut down. Sacred shrines were destroyed. They laughed at our gods, broke our carvings, burned our masks. They built their own houses of stone and wood, taller than anything we had seen, and told us it was their land now. One elder, before he died, whispered to me, "They do not only take our land. They take our spirits." And he was right. Because even when the guns went quiet, something else had changed. We no longer walked with pride. We no longer sang our songs at night. Fear followed us everywhere. Fear of the boots, the whips, the strange tongues that shouted orders we barely understood. I remember one night, hiding behind my mother's hut, watching the soldiers march. The moon was bright, and their shadows stretched long and thin across the ground. They didn't look like men anymore. They looked like demons, their bayonets shining like fangs. And the sound of their boots, thud, 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 was like a heartbeat that wouldn't stop. Sometimes, even now, when I close my eyes, I hear that march. I smell the smoke of burning huts. I see the pale faces that stared at us without pity. And I think back to that first gunshot. The day our world ended and theirs began. The day they told us we were no longer free. The day the river brought more than traders. It brought shadows. And those shadows are still here. Because colonization is not just history. For me, it was horror. For me, it was the night the spirits of my people were broken. For me, it was the night I learned that monsters don't always come from the forest. Sometimes, they come from across the sea.